Hello, this is Dr. Larry Nassar, USA Gymnastics National Medical Coordinator. I have been asked to present to you in this lecture some information regarding injury prevention in the developmental gymnast. I hope you find this lecture to be useful. Injury prevention begins and ends with the coach. The coach has the largest single influence over injury prevention. For example, proper spotting. The coach understands how to appropriately spot the gymnast, they can make a big difference on how the gymnasts execute their skills, improves their performance in a more safer environment. Not all spotting needs to be done with the use of their hands. For example, coaches may know how to set up mats and other training aids to assist the gymnast through their skills. So it's not just a matter of you physically spotting the gymnast, but also a matter of the coach learning how to set up the gym so that there's a decreased chance of injury and an increased ability for the gymnast to safely execute the skills that the coach is assigning to them. For example, supervision of this gymnast in the bottom right-hand corner shows this gymnast doing a V-up with a large arch in her back. However, no one is supervising her at this point, and she continues to do this skill inappropriately compared to the other gymnasts down the line. Therefore, this gymnast thinks that they are doing the skill appropriately, or the conditioning drills, the case may be, and they get this kinesthetic or this awareness of this is the way my body's supposed to feel when I'm doing it. However, it's actually inappropriate. Thus, the reason why it's important for coaches to actually be watching and using their eyes and giving feedback to the gymnast as to whether or not they have the appropriate shape so that they have that kinesthetic awareness that this is the right position, this is how it feels, and I'm doing it properly. Without that feedback, they may think they're doing it right, but actually be doing it wrong. Nowadays, we do have the ability to do a lot of videography with our gymnasts, if need be, to show them whether or not they're doing their skills appropriately. For example, cell phones nowadays. You can take a quick little video on the gymnast's cell phone. They can see themselves, take it home and look at it, and actually know whether or not they're doing these little skills appropriately. So remember, supervision in practice is important, setup of the gym is important, and also the spotting abilities of the coach with mats and with other devices in the gym is also helpful. Injury prevention. What can you, as the coach, control? Well, proper setup and maintenance of equipment would be something that can make a significant difference in the injury and performance of your athletes. For example, in the top picture you see a gymnast landing on her head after vaulting. Unfortunately, this occurred with several gymnasts getting injured at the 2000 Olympic Games due to the fact that the vault was not set at the appropriate height. It was too low. And this created a difference in their ability to perform a proper pre-flight and post-flight, which created the injury. Therefore, it is very important to make sure that your equipment is set appropriately. Also, remember to replace old equipment. Old equipment, once again, may decrease their performance, but also at the same time may create injury due to things like, say, dead spots or holes in your floor exercise mat. And other devices like cables on pieces of equipment can make a difference too. Remember that the setup of the equipment, whether new or old, can also create a possibility for decreased performance and increased injury. For example, the lower picture, you see a gymnast on the balance beam. And you notice that with one of the arrows that shows a seam underneath the balance beam in a location which if the gymnast were to fall off the beam, she may roll an ankle or hurt her knee. You can see that it seems to be in a location in which she would commonly fall. So making sure that the mats are appropriately set makes a difference for an athlete if they were to fall off the balance beam, for example. In addition, look at the landing mats. Are the landing mats wide enough? The red mat may not be quite wide enough because it creates a gap between the red mat and the blue mat. Also, if you notice, that red landing mat is sort of warped in which one side is higher than the other. Just as the landing mat to the left, the blue one, shows another unevenness where the left side is higher than the right side. Once again, it is important to establish an appropriate setup of matting to prevent injury. In addition, if you were to have trampoline bed use, you'd want to make sure that there's proper tension on the trampoline bed and also the appropriate setup, which we'll discuss more on the next slide. The rhythmic floor mat needs to have a proper firmness. A too soft of a rhythmic floor would not give the gymnast the appropriate balance and may create actually an increase in their instability. Also, if it is too hard, it may increase overuse injuries. Therefore, it is important in any of the disciplines to make sure that the apparatus is appropriate for the athlete's skills. Trampoline basic safety is important to understand. There should only be one participant on the trampoline at any one time. More than one person on the tramp bed can create injury by the two of them forcing into each other or creating an uneven bounce and they fly off the trampoline. Spotters need to be present at all times. Keep the trampoline frame and the pads in good condition. The frame, bars, springs, and surrounding areas should all have protective padding. And remember, you need to understand how to stop a gymnast that looks like they're going to come down and injure themselves. By placing a mat on the trampoline bed, that gymnast may land on the mat instead of the trampoline bed, slow them down, and protect them from injury. This is a skill that you need to acquire if you're going to be working with the trampoline. In addition, you need to understand how to get an injured gymnast off a trampoline bed. This requires practice and training, which can receive more further education through USA Gymnastics on this topic.